Hello, hello. I am Dr. Meghan Burt, and welcome to the Healthy Digestion 101 webinar. I am so excited about this webinar because a healthy digestive system is something that I am extremely passionate about. You will hear so much of my heart and passion for it. You'll hear a lot of my own story within this webinar too. And I'm just going to wait for another minute or so, get some people logged on, and then I'll begin. Okay, I see a few more people logging on. So welcome again to Healthy Digestion 101. Whether or not you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, I want to welcome you. I am Dr. Meghan Burt. I am a chiropractor. I am a blogger and writer and creator of justenjoyfood.com. It is a blog where I share healthy recipes and many gut healing recipes. I have a lot of resources all on creating a healthy lifestyle, whether it be through food or through detoxification or with essential oils or a lot of do-it-yourself projects in terms of personal care products and cleaning products, everything you can find on my blog at justenjoyfood.com. I'm also a health coach, and I am so passionate about working one-on-one with people, and that might be you, one of you listening, so I can coach you back to health. We can do customized protocols, we can work together, and I can teach you really specifically on how to have a healthy life. And I'm also a Young Living essential oil distributor because I believe that we can fit our Young Living essential oils into a healthy lifestyle. So I start all of my webinars with a kind of let's get real, like let's figure this out. Let's look at the state of our nation, so to speak. When I do my weight loss webinars, we start there. When I talk about any sort of organ system, getting healthy, we've got to get real. And so let's just look. In the United States, 1 in 4 people have been diagnosed with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. So that is 25% of people have been diagnosed. That does not mean people who have gut problems and don't go in and don't get diagnosed. That is the diagnosed cases. It's said that about 90% of people have leaky gut symptoms. So that's almost 100% of the population. So when I did Healthy Digestion 101 as a webinar, trust me, I knew that we needed to get this message out, and I need to talk to people and teach you how to have a healthy gut, because what we're doing in this country is not working. We have so many things in place that destroy our gut and not heal our gut. But if I can teach you how to heal your gut, and I can teach you how to prevent hurting your gut and damaging your gut and destroying that gut flora, then we can at least impact and change the people around us to have healthy lifestyle choices that support a good digestive system. And when your digestive system is symptomatic, then your brain is symptomatic. And what I mean by that is a gut on fire is a brain on fire. So when your digestive system is off, your brain is off. So brain symptoms like brain fog, mood changes, anxiety, depression, frustration, irritability, you name it, the inability to handle stress, that can be directly tied into a digestive disorder. That is so powerful, and I really want you to just to hear that and to sit on that. I want to go into why, and I'm asking why in 2 different ways. First of all, why are we here? You know, why did this happen? But the second why is the bigger why. And I want to know, sit in front of you and ask you this, I want to know, why are you listening to this webinar? I want to know why you chose to sign up or to listen to this replay. I want to know your why. So If there's something close to you, if not, get up and go grab it. Grab a pen and paper, even if it's a note card. And I want you to write down your why. And I want your why to be big, because our whys are big. And don't just say, well, I want to be healthy. That's good. But I want you to get to the layer deeper. Why do you want to be healthy? Is it because you don't have enough energy to get out of bed? Is it because you don't feel like you're being a good enough parent or spouse or wife or husband because you just don't feel good? Or you feel like your why is you can't be productive because all you can think about is how bad your tummy feels? I've been there. Write down your why. Think about your why as we go through this. What is the digestive system? I thought, let's get to the basics. Before we jump into the more detailed stuff, let's get to the basics. What is the digestive system? What is a healthy digestive system? What's an unhealthy digestive system? We've got to figure out what it is composed of. The digestive system, it starts when food goes into your body and it ends when food goes out of your body. That is seriously the simplest and best way to think of it. So when we put food in our mouth, saliva contains an enzyme called amylase, and it helps break down food. And also when you start chewing, that breaks down the food and you start to digest the food literally within your mouth. As it starts going down your esophagus, it's traveling to your stomach. And that's where peristalsis, that movement, starts. And once the food gets into your stomach, the gastric juices start to combine with the food and start that process of digestion. So then you have food that continues through your small and large intestine, and then it exits through the rectum. And transit time, so I want you to know what transit time is. Transit time is when food goes in to food comes out. That should be 12 to 24 hours. Now, I want to talk about that because some people go, oh, I'm doing great. I don't have any digestive problems. I go to the bathroom a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have a transit time problem, because you want food that's coming in to food that's going out being 12 to 24 hours. But you can be going to the bathroom a lot, but food can be really backed up for a longer period of time than that. I also want to talk about the microbiome. There is something going on called the Human Microbiome Project right now. And so it's a big buzzword. And the microbiome is the microbial makeup of our body. So that means bacteria, good and bad, viruses, parasites, yeasts, funguses that make up our body. Now you might be going, this is really disgusting. I didn't think that I would know all about these bugs that are within me when I was just trying to make my gut healthy. So we have to know about this because we have 10 trillion cells, and cells are very important. And I don't even know what 1 trillion is. I don't even think I can conceptualize a million, but we have 10 trillion cells. And I talk a lot about cells and getting our cells healthy and getting our bodies healthy. But let's take it the next step farther. Our microbiome, our microbial makeup, we have 100 trillion microbes. That is 10 times the amount of cells that we have microbes. They are important. They're on our skin, they're in our mouth, they're in our digestive system. The most common ones that we talk about is within our digestive system. And there are certain ones, like Bacteroides fragilis, that only live in the GI system, and that they are essential for a healthy gut and a healthy body. So, for example, let's just talk about microbes. Because I feel like within our world, it's like, oh, we need the hand sanitizer. We can't have germs. Germs make us sick. Germs make us sick. It's that germ theory. But if we have 100 trillion microbes, we've got to work with our bugs. If we don't work with our bugs, then our bugs, we have too many bad guys and they overtake us and we get nasty infections. We have some opportunistic ones, which means that they're the bad guys. They see an opportunity, so to speak, within our body, a weakened body, and they take over. And we have synergistic ones, one that works within synergy in our body. We need them, they work well, and we need to have them there. So if I met you and I stuck my hand out and I shook your hand, then that is an exchange of microbes. So once again, you're probably going, it's kind of gross. I think it's kind of cool. But that is how our environment works. And so let's talk about supporting a healthy microbiome. Let's talk about the bugs. How do we make healthy bugs? How do we create a healthy army within our body to keep us healthy for a long time? So I just thought this was really, really funny because I know a cartoon goes a long way. So the Human Microbiome Project says that the human body has 100 trillion microscopic life forms living within it. And then like the 100 trillion are sitting there going, you call this living? But within your GI system, they determine so much. Your microbes can talk to your DNA and can make decisions about your health based on if you got good guys or bad guys. So I'm not going to get into too much right here, but I want you just to see this. This was a picture from an article about like eating dirt and letting your kids play in dirt and not being so afraid of germs. And so it's just a little kid covered in dirt. And we do need to, not that we're just going to go around eating dirt and not caring if our hands are clean or anything like that. We do want to practice good hygiene, but we don't need to kill every bug. And we do need to be exposed to them for a healthy immune system and for our bodies to be stronger. So I just thought that was so cute. This is the little one completely covered and playing in the dirt. So this is Nature magazine. There's some really great science magazines out there that are more on that forefront of kind of bringing that whole scientific world, which we don't hear a ton about, into more mainstream and starting to change the way that we think about our bodies. Within medicine, people go in, you go see your doctor, and they don't know about the microbiome and the proper balance and this vast and delicate ecology of your whole digestive system. And so I just liked this cover. It says, fellow travelers. Just thinking, we think our body is just this one thing, you know, and it's our DNA or it's this or that. We just don't see it as tons of cells and tons of microbes. We've got travelers. Let's feed them well. Let's be nice to them. And let's allow them to express health within our bodies. I want to talk about leaky gut because I said 24 or 25%, 1 in 4 people are diagnosed with some kind of irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. And that is very, very common. And just to be honest, irritable bowel syndrome, let's break it down. Your gut doesn't feel good. It's irritable. And you could diagnose a lot of people with that. It's a name. It's just a name for a collection of symptoms. And to be honest with you, it doesn't have a meaning. Just to be diagnosed doesn't mean that they're going to fix the problem. And oftentimes they send you home and you're like, but I'm still feeling irritable. My gut still doesn't feel good. So I want to talk about leaky gut. It's also known as dysbiosis. What happens is it literally means your gut is leaking. Our digestive system has cells and they form tight junctions. And so they come together with these tiny microscopic holes in between them. Little particles should pass through and go into the bloodstream, and then certain things should come back. That's how the gut was created. That is a healthy gut. Very few things pass through. What happens in a leaky gut is the tight junctions break apart. So you have gaping holes within your gut, and it sends food particles into the bloodstream and toxins into the bloodstream and all of this stuff that's going into your bloodstream that should never have been in your bloodstream, and your body starts to fight back. It doesn't like it, and it tells you about it. So you're not detoxifying properly. You are actually retoxifying your body because of the leaky gut. You're not absorbing nutrients appropriately, and your body is on high alert. So instead of digesting your food well, it's going to sit in there, or it's going to run through you like crazy, or there's going to be some sort of symptom and that comes with having leaky gut or dysbiosis. what happens here, let's just go through this hormone, this kind of leaky gut cascade. And I grabbed these amazing graphics from Dr. Axe's website because I thought that they were so amazing. I found them online. And so he has a great website, draxe.com. And I, instead of creating some pictures for myself, I am just thankful that he had these because they explain so much what's going on in the digestive system. So what happens is we get inflammation in the gut lining, and we'll get to the reasons of why, because inflammation is such a huge piece, but we'll get to why we have inflammation. And then because it starts to inflame, we're not absorbing nutrients, we aren't absorbing our food, we are a culture that is highly fed and undernourished. So we're usually overfed and undernourished. So a lot of our bodies and a lot of our guts are very malnourished. And they get even more malnourished when they're inflamed. And so we're hungry all the time and we want sugar all the time because our body just can't get nutrients and it just needs quick energy. And then we get this immune response because remember I said those tight junctions open up and you start letting particles that should never be in the bloodstream be in the bloodstream. And so you send the immune system just reacting, going, what is going on? Then we get some GI issues. Food sensitivities, you feel bloated, you feel crampy, you can't go to the bathroom or you go to the bathroom too much, you name it, we're starting these processes. You went, I used to always eat dairy and now I can't eat dairy, or like I could eat anything and now all this food makes me feel bad. It starts with that inflammation of the GI lining. And then the last piece of it is an autoimmune reaction. It's where your body, because the immune system has such a heightened response, what happens is your body literally starts to attack itself. You're kicking your own butt. That's what I say. Because you have created this cascade, and most likely unknowingly, because none of us would love to have this or sign up for this knowingly, by the foods that we're taught to eat and the lifestyle that we're taught to live. And it feeds right back into itself. And autoimmune issues and autoimmune responses, they happen way before a diagnosis would ever be made. So within the gut, Crohn's disease and Crohn's and lupus are one of them that have a really big component within the gut. Actually, every autoimmune condition, and there are in upwards of 200 different conditions right now that have a gut component to them and potentially could have started in the gut. Hippocrates said all disease starts in the gut. So I agree with him. Do I think every single disease starts in the gut? No. But do you have to heal your gut before you can heal any symptomatology of a disease process? Absolutely. We've got to look into the gut. So let's talk about this leaky gut. Where does leaky gut come from? Why do almost 100% of people have a leaky gut? Well, the causes are up top: stress or some type of stressor. So a food can be a stressor. A very stressful life event can trigger something. That's why there are people that get diagnosed with celiac disease, which is an autoimmune gut condition where your body literally fights gluten particles. People tend to get diagnosed with celiac after a stressful event. You name it, whatever stressor it was, then they go, well, I never had this before. You had the writing on the wall and triggered a gene within that time. Toxins are a huge piece of leaky gut. And I will argue that we can't fully heal a leaky gut until we remove toxins. And that's something that I work within my health coaching on, because we have to figure out which toxins are, what the source are, and create a plan to remove them so the gut and those tight junctions can fully heal. Food particles, that'll get through. So whether or not it's a food that started it and you had a sensitivity that created that inflammation and that opened up the tight junctions, creating more inflammation in the GI system, or that the particles that you're eating, even the healthy food, are making their way through. Different drugs, they will do it. They're a very, very big stressor to the GI system. Pathogens, or bad microbes. When you have leaky gut or dysbiosis, guess what happens? You are the perfect host for some nasty pathogens. So a food that you ate, or some water that you drank, or you went to a country that had different flora than what we have in our country, and you got really sick, but everybody else ate the same thing that you did, and they didn't get sick. You had the perfect opportunity in terms of your microbiome to let a bad thing in. And different organ malfunctions. A toxic liver will stress out the digestive system more. Kidneys that aren't detoxing well will stress out a digestive system more. And you can just see that process in this slide too. Inflammation, food intolerances, immune system issues leading to that autoimmunity. Leaky gut literally affects the entire body. I said a gut on fire is a brain on fire. It can affect our sinuses, our joints. It can affect our endocrine system, so our hormones. So Hashimoto's or hypothyroid or Graves' disease. And it can affect other hormones within our body, especially as females. Obviously, leaky gut's going to affect our colon. It's going to affect our gut. It's going to make our bodies more stressed and stress our adrenals. Our gallbladder works well because you communicate with your gut bacteria. And here is a huge one that is not listed on here, but I want you to know. I want you to know that our microbes, when they are healthy, they allow our bodies to be at a healthy weight. They burn fat and they build muscle. When we have unhealthy microbes within our body, we put on weight, we can't lose weight, and our body can't get rid of fat. That is huge. A healthy gut is a healthy body composition. Isn't that amazing? So those microbes that I told you, those 100 trillion microbes, let's feed them well. Let's support that system so that our bodies not only are going to feel the best, but they're going to work the best. So here's just another picture of that. And you can see going through, I wish I had a pointer here so I could walk you through. On the left, you can see the tight junctions. The cells are together. They just have tiny little holes in them. If you look onto the right, you can see that we still have toxins and microorganisms and food particles on the left, but on the right, they can pass through and they can get within our bloodstream. And then we get all of these different immune responses and T cell responses. So now that we talked about our microbiome with 100 trillion microbes, let's talk about our cells. We have 10 trillion cells. So I also feel that it's really important to address those, because if anything gets into the trillions in our body, we better be talking about them. We better learn about them. This is one of my most favorite things to teach on, because I think healthy cells create a healthy body. And I don't think that, I know that. And so I want you to draw this. As I'm explaining this, I want you to draw this and I want you to take notes on this, because this will transform the way that you look at your body and the way that you look at feeding your body and the way that you look at healing your gut. Because one thing that I don't want you to do is to go, well, I have to heal my gut and I have all these do's and don'ts and going down the line and, oh, this stinks. I don't want to do this. That's no fun, because then it's hard on our emotions to have that, can't eat this, I'm going to feel deprived here, that type of thing. But if we know why, remember getting to our why are we doing this? I'm doing this for my family, I'm doing this for my children, I'm doing this because I want to get out of bed and feel like this is a joyful day, a day that the Lord has made. Look at your why. But then when you understand why we're doing it in terms of our cells and our body, and even our microbiome, you go, oh yeah, I'm making this healthy decision because I know what happens to my cells when I don't. And it's a very powerful thing. So let's look at cellular health. First of all, you can see I drew two circles. Those two circles represent the cell membrane. There are two of them because our cell membrane is made up from a bilipid membrane, bilipid layer, which means two layers of fat. So healthy fats are very important to that cell membrane. You can see the little lines Those are hormone receptors. Depending on the cell, depends on the hormone receptor. So you could have insulin receptors, you could have leptin receptors. Leptin is a hormone that tells your brain to burn fat. So it's an important one that we want signaling to be very receptive. We could have estrogen, progesterone, hormone receptors. We can have vitamin, protein, mineral hormone receptors, thyroid hormone receptors. You see where I'm going. Almost everything that comes in our cell comes through a hormone receptor. You can also see ATP that I drew in that little oval that's inside of the cell. The little oval represents a mitochondria. Our mitochondria are our energy powerhouses, and they are seriously a powerhouse. They make so much energy, which energy in our body is known as ATP. ATP is used for everything: to detoxify, to rebuild, to digest food. There's a lot that takes to digest food. And for you to listen to my webinar, Cellular Health, and you need that ATP. You need that energy to be able to absorb everything I'm saying. So what happens within our cells is they get inflamed. And they get inflamed by 3 different things: sugars, bad fats, and toxins. Sugars and things that turn to sugar. Grains are one thing that turns to sugar. That amylase that starts to break down our food when it first goes into our mouth, it turns a grain into sugar within 4 to 8 seconds. Bad fats, and I talk a lot on my blog, and I talk a lot on other webinars about what a good and bad fat is. We need to cut out the bad and really increase the good. The bad is the hydrogenated oils, the vegetable oils, the canola oils, the things that are in processed foods that sit on a shelf and that they don't go bad. Those are bad fats. And toxins. Toxins can be foods like artificial sweeteners, MSG, the colorings, all the junk within foods, those things on a label you can't read. Those are toxins. But toxins are even a bigger piece of that too. And toxins can come within a toxic burden. Heavy metals can be a toxin. Living in a moldy home can be a toxin. And so let's kind of take this into the gut now. Sugars and bad fat can cause leaky gut and dysbiosis, which is then going to inflame the gut and inflame the cells, because it's going to inflame the gut cells. But toxins, they're going to burden our body and then lead to that inflammation. So a food can become a toxin to your body if your gut is so inflamed. So eating something as simple as a vegetable, if it's going right into your bloodstream, then that becomes a toxin to your body. I'm not saying food is toxic. I'm not saying vegetables are toxic, but you can see where we get this storm going on in our body where your body just won't calm down. And that was me. I used to live that. My gut would literally tell me everything I ate was bad, at a time being. And I will get into my story. But a lot of times we need to walk through a detoxifying protocol, and we do need to oftentimes cut a lot of different foods out and give our body a major rest in terms of just resting, calming down, and rallying to heal. So I want to talk about inflamed cells. So this could be a gut cell, remember. And our inflamed cells can do one of 2 things. We can't just have inflammation and have no cause and effect, have no effect of inflammation. It's not just there and who cares about it. It's there in your body, and our bodies are smart, so your body is smart, and it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do for this point in time. And it's going to try to heal, but if it can't reduce inflammation because you're feeding it sugars, bad fats, and toxins, the cells have 2 choices. They either die or mutate. Dead cells, when the cells die, it's called apoptosis, which is cell death. A lot of cells die. You have premature aging. And it's looking older and feeling older than what you really are. When our bodies get healthy, when we switch the foods that we eat, I've seen it time and time again, you can literally, take 10 years off of your life. It's awesome. Like you or I guess gain 10 years, if you know what I mean. You can look 10 years younger. I've seen it. I've seen some people where I'm like, oh my goodness, you look like you almost took 30 years off. It's just this really, really beautiful thing. And it's not because we did all this skin alterations and stuff. It's healing from the inside out. But if your cells don't die, they'll mutate, because you can't just kill off, a couple trillion cells because our body needs to function. So the cells will mutate. They will not use oxygen for energy. They're going to use sugar as a fuel source because that's what is present, a lot of sugar. And a mutated cell is a cancer cell. And that is something we don't want to be building, and we don't want to be feeding. So now you know why it is so incredibly important to address inflamed cells. How do we support cellular health and the microbiome? We can do it together. There's so many things that will heal a cell and heal a gut at the same time. So this is kind of a long list, but I really want to go through the whole thing and explain it a little. So this is a note-taking slide. The one thing that you can do to support cellular health and the gut microbiome health is by removing allergenic and sensitive foods. So remove grains and sugars. So people always go, can I eat oatmeal? Oatmeal is a grain. So it's not just taking out gluten, even though gluten, our bodies, especially this hybridized gluten that came from the 70s, do not know how to break that down and process it. Our pancreas does not know what to do with it. It's a very toxic food to our bodies. And so we definitely, and I believe we all will feel better and all will function better when we remove gluten. But we need to take it to the next level, and we need to remove all grains. And so that includes rice, and that includes corn, which is technically a grain. It's a vegetable. And that, in my opinion, to heal a gut, includes quinoa and buckwheat. They are technically seeds or ancient grains, and they can be brought back into the diet, but I believe to heal a gut that's unhealthy, you have to cut them all out. Sugars, if you have a very sensitive gut, that means everything. That means honey, maple syrup, that means coconut syrup, that means everything. The only sweeteners that I use in very sick gut people, which I'm pointing to myself, is stevia and xylitol from birch bark. And mostly I just use stevia because it's not going to throw your gut out of whack. Once the gut starts to get healthier, you can bring in some of those healthier unrefined sugars like honey and maple syrup, but keep out everything else, because the more sugar you have, the more inflammation you're going to create, and the more leaky gut you're going to create. Take out junk dairy. I call the conventional dairy junk dairy because it's full of antibiotics and it's full of hormones, and those cows aren't treated well. I think that dairy is a very healing food, especially in cultured. When it's cultured, it's aged, it's raw, it's from grass-fed, cows. Dairy can be a very, very good thing and a very healing, necessary thing for our gut. But when we're just looking at just all dairy, we got to cut out the junk dairy. The stuff where the cows just were not taken care of very well, which in turn is you're going to get all of the toxins that was in that cow. Bad fats. So hydrogenated oils, canola oils, vegetable oils, oils that are in processed foods. Those are very, very important to cut out because those will cause inflammation of all of your cells, but your gut cells too. Artificial sweeteners, artificial colorings, different food chemicals and additives within our food. If you go to a whole foods type diet, then that stuff's already out. And another really huge one is genetically modified organisms, GMOs. So I want to tell you one thing about GMOs because we're talking about the gut, so I can tell you this because it fits right within there. The GMOs, because they have those pesticides spliced within them, when they go into your body, your microbes, so the whole microbiome, detects those GMOs, and because you can't process them and because they're so dangerous, they actually affect the DNA of your cells and of the microbes, and what they'll do is they will actually start producing pesticides. You can be a little gut-producing pesticide factory, and you cannot heal a gut unless you get those genetically modified organisms out of your diet. So if you eat anything corn, make sure that it is certified genetically modified free. And still, I believe that it is difficult to find something that's 100% GMO free in terms of corn. Soy is GMO. Sugar beets are GMO. It's just this, it's going to be more and more. So be very careful of that. There's another thing that is happening now, and glyphosate, which is also known as Roundup, that is the chemical used in genetically modified foods. That's the pesticide that doesn't kill those. What is happening with the glyphosate is they're now selling it to other farmers that produce grains, because if you spray any grain right before you harvest them with glyphosate, it kind of opens up the grain and it allows for easier harvesting. So you could still get some pesticides within your grains because it's sprayed on right before harvesting. So it's something that I want you to know about, not because I want to freak you out, but you just need to know so that you can make wise decisions when you go to the grocery store, and not just assume that something labeled natural is not going to have toxins within it. You have to know where your food's coming from. Removing possible trigger foods. So the foods that I put here, they're not bad foods, but in an unhealthy gut, there's things called phytates and lectins, and they will act kind of like sandpaper within the gut. I always tell people grains will act like sandpaper within your gut and inflame your gut. But if your gut's really sensitive, these phytates will do that too, and things that are starchier will do that too. So nuts and seeds, sometimes you have to cut them out. They're super healthy for you, a great source of fat, and a great, great, great snack. But if you eat them and it stirs up your gut, then cut them out until your gut heals more. Eggs can also be, not because eggs are bad. Eggs are one of the, I think it's one of the closest things to a perfect food is an egg. But if that egg is going into a gut that is leaky, it will pass particles into the bloodstream and your body will react very highly to that. So it's cross-reactive is what it's called. Beans, because they're really starchy. Starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes, root vegetables, carrots, those, and even squash, those can really irritate a sensitive gut. And I missed one here, fruits. I tell people, especially when we're doing advanced healing, but if we're working with the gut especially, cut out all fruits except berries. And there might even be a time we need to cut out berries. And you're looking at me probably now, if I could see you, like, she just took away all of my food. And trust me, when you know why you're doing it, because I explained to you why we're doing it, it becomes easier. That's why I have recipes on my blog. That's why I have a website full of resources, because if I told you this and gave you no information, then it would be not very life-giving. But I'm telling you, you can heal your gut through cutting out a lot of these foods, but you still have a ton of amazing foods that you can eat. For example, let's just talk about peanut butter cups or chocolate fudge. You can use peanut butter or almond butter, cocoa powder, coconut oil, and make the most, and stevia, and make the most amazing fudge or peanut butter cups. And those you can eat while you are healing your gut. And even if you're a little sensitive to nuts, if it's in an almond butter and you're not using very much, it's probably not going to be reactive within your body, because you don't have to then break down that, like, this handful of nuts that you're eating. So just know that there's tons of options for you to be able to still eat amazing, wonderful foods. And I wish that we had a whole nother hour where I could just encourage you through how to eat while you're healing your gut, because I love to do that. But unfortunately, in this webinar, I don't have enough time. But I want you to not be overwhelmed by this and know that it is completely doable. And think of your why. Why are you doing it? And once you have reached a healthy gut, you can bring eggs back in, and trust me, your body will like them. And you can bring nuts and seeds back in, and your body will like them. And so you can bring some more foods back in, but it is a learning process throughout the whole thing. Two things that are amazingly healing for the gut is fasting and fermentation. Either fasting on bone broth or raw cultured dairy. I use Amasi or Swero Gold from Jordan Rubin's company Beyond Organic. And then fermenting, which I realize that vegetables is spelled really wrong there, fermenting vegetables or using fermented beverages, which Swearigold and Amasi would be a fermented beverage, and fermenting things like cucumbers to make pickles or sauerkraut or kimchi, or doing water kefir or kombucha. Those things are extremely healing to the gut. And once again, doing fasting and knowing how to do it well, and then doing fermentation are things that I have as resources on my blog, but also something that I work with in terms of my health coaching and work on with you one-on-one. And then another thing to help support your gut is lots of good fats that'll support your cells, that'll support your gut. My favorite good fats are butter and ghee, which is clarified butter, coconut oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil. Those are just the oils. And then I love coconut and avocado and nuts and seeds, if your gut can have them. Those are some of my favorite good fats. And there are other things. You can get good fats from eggs and from grass-fed meats. And you can get them from cheeses and other good cultured dairy products. But if it didn't fit within the fats, actually palm oil is a really, really good fat too that I don't use a ton, but I tend to forget to mention. That's still really good. If it's red palm oil, if I didn't mention a certain fat, then it's probably not good and you shouldn't be consuming it. I wanted to go over a few supplements that support a healthy digestive system. And I also want you to know that this is not even close to a customized list whatsoever to heal the gut, but it definitely in mild cases can allow you to round the corner with a diet change and to really regenerate your gut. In a very, very sick gut, you're probably going to need a lot more than this and to learn how to cycle things in and out. So L-glutamine, I use it in a powder form, is great. It reduces inflammation. So if your gut is unhappy, you can take some L-glutamine in a smoothie or in a shake or in just plain water, and it can really help calm the gut. Digestive enzymes. One thing I did forget to mention going through the digestive system is the pancreas is part of the digestive system too. It releases digestive enzymes. It also has an endocrine portion in terms of blood sugar, but it has a digestive portion. And getting a good, well-rounded digestive enzyme can help to digest your food. And if you have a very sick and sensitive gut, that means your pancreas does not give out enough digestive enzymes. When you have that much inflammation in your gut and that much immune response to your gut, you will need digestive enzymes. Probiotics. Probiotics it's for probiotics, It's good bacteria, and it's in a capsule. And people always go and they ask me, can I just eat yogurt? Well, yogurt, not that it's not helpful. It's hard to find a good one. And I've heard you can compare taking a couple of probiotics in a capsule to consuming about 2 gallons of yogurt. There's not enough bacteria to really regenerate the gut within yogurt. You need to get it in a supplement form, and there's many different and amazing kinds of probiotics out there. If you have a really bad reaction or you get a lot worse with probiotics, it could mean, and oftentimes it tells me that your gut needs a different type of way to balance. We might need to go in and use some herbs that kill off microbes because you might have too many bad ones before we can restart the good ones. Essential oils. There's 2 essential oils that I love for the digestive system. These will not in and of themselves fix and heal your GI system, but they really help through the healing process and if you have a big flare-up. And they are Young Living Essential Oil Peppermint or Young Living Essential Oils Digest. And on my blog, justenjoyfood.com, you can find a ton more information on essential oils, and they are amazing. They will help so much. I think that Digest should be in everybody's house, because even if we've worked to heal our gut like I have, my gut's still not perfect. And I might get into something in terms of a restaurant where I had some cross-contamination with gluten and I don't feel so good afterwards. And then that's where I'll go to use Digest. I'll grab a couple digestive enzymes. I might mix up some glutamine and I'll put Digest right on my belly. Magnesium, it helps regularity, it helps you go to the bathroom. So if that's something you struggle with, Magnesium is really great for that. And most people are very deficient in magnesium too. And then fiber and prebiotics. A fiber is something called a prebiotic. It feeds the good bacteria. Not everybody's body does well with fiber. So once again, these are super general statements in terms of supporting a healthy digestive system. So one thing that I want to go through more at the end is my story and what I went through. So I want to first start out by just explaining a little bit more, so you can resonate more on leaky gut. And if you're going, do I have a leaky gut or don't I? Because that's going to help, coming full circle with my story. If you've ever been diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, or IBD, then you have a leaky gut. If you have a lot of food sensitivities and certain foods your body can't eat, you have a leaky gut. If you have skin conditions, so skin rashes, a lot of eczema, psoriasis, different patches on your skin, lots of breakouts, that's leaky gut, and it's coming from the digestive system. If you have a nutritional deficiency in terms of vitamins and minerals, your body's not absorbing it well, you have a leaky gut. If you have mood disorders, if your mood is off, it's directly related to your gut, because about 70% of our serotonin is made within our gut. That's the happy neurotransmitter. If our gut is off, we're not making enough serotonin, and it's going to make us depressed or anxious. If you have other endocrine disorders in terms of thyroid, or especially in females hormone, it can be directly related to the gut. And food allergies or food sensitivities can be, once again, directly related to the gut. So with me, I had my share of stomach aches and stuff, but it was nothing that was really debilitating. And I got to be 18 years old, and all within a 30 to 60 day period, I went on a mission trip to Mexico and got a parasite, which means that I had a hospitable environment, obviously, for that. I graduated from high school. I was preparing for college. I got my childhood vaccines, which is a source of toxins. It was 18-year-old vaccines, but that's what you were supposed to do. So a major source of toxins, and all of that stress for getting ready for college and graduating. We moved to a different house. It was just so much for my body. And going to Mexico and getting that parasite was really what tipped me over the edge. And I remember coming home from that mission trip and being like, what is that feeling in my gut? It literally was as if somebody blew up a balloon in my abdomen. I was that bloated. I'd never felt anything like that. I remember going to the sink and filling up this huge glass of water, and then like, okay, I'm just going to drink this really big glass of water, and then my stomach will feel better. And literally from the age of 18 and on, it never felt right. Well, I go to college. I didn't eat so well, even though I did have a more natural mindset, and I did know a lot about nutrition at that point, but I didn't have the opportunity. I went to school in the South. Everything is fried. It was this really small school that I so loved, but I hated their cafeteria, and their salads were wilted, and you couldn't really eat anything. If I was to eat something healthy, it was a hot dog without a bun. And it was not grass-fed and not anything good. And so here I am going like, I want to feed my body well, but I literally cannot. And it just got worse as I got older because I got more stressed. I went into chiropractic school. I do know that the Lord led me there, and I felt really bad. And I lived in this apartment. I had my first apartment. I was so excited about it. I painted walls and was decorating, doing what you do. And little did I know that apartment was making me so sick. I had black mold. The AC unit was leaking, and it was probably a 5x5 square that was completely full of mold within the kitchen and the pantry. It was growing up the walls. If I showed you a picture, you'd be so disgusted. And so that was just one more stressor that spun my body completely out of control. And when I lived there, I remember having a stomach ache every single day, every waking hour. I went to bed with one, I woke up with one. And I was so bloated, and I just kept gaining weight, and I kept gaining just this extremely toxic look. And that is a picture on the left of me from when I was living there. And I was wondering, why don't I feel good? I mean, I look at my hair there. I'm like, my hair didn't even look good. Everything horrible. And I didn't know enough to know I didn't feel good. I just thought that I was just worn down from school and burnt out, because chiropractic school, it takes a toll on your body. I don't think any chiropractor comes out feeling amazing. I think we all need to do a little healing, but it's just a really stressful and grueling school. And so that was over the course of 3.5 years. And as I went through chiropractic school, I got sicker and sicker. I found the mold in this apartment. I moved out. I knew I needed to move out because I knew it wasn't good. But once again, I didn't know how to heal my body. And I got to a point my last year of school where I barely went to school. I barely went to class. And it wasn't because I didn't want to, or I didn't like my teachers, or you name it. I couldn't get out of bed. We started at 8 a.m. a couple mornings, and I didn't get out of bed. And it was just horrible. I remember just watching TV so often during that time. So I was like, I have to do something. So I watched TV and attempt to do homework. And it was a really, really challenging time. And then I went to a seminar. And one of my first mentors, I sat through a 2-day seminar. I felt so bad. I thought I was going to fall asleep. My stomach felt so bad. My pants were like, closing in on me kind of thing. But I was soaking up every single morsel of what he said. I was like, this is amazing. I didn't know you could do this type of healing with supplements and with diet and with fasting and with, just knowing what goes on in the physiology of our bodies. Like, I didn't know you could do this advanced healing. And I was like, I'm sick. I don't feel good. And it was this light bulb went off. I'm like, I have to go see him. So I started and I became a patient with him. And the first time I saw him, and he didn't mean this meanly, and it really opened my eyes, is he goes, did you like my seminar? You were really falling asleep. And I thought you were just going to fall asleep. And I looked at him and I was like, I loved everything. But it was this outward expression of how my body inwardly was feeling. And then we figured out all of this stuff that my body, and this was after about 6 years of feeling so bad, that was like, it wore down everything. It wore down my thyroid. It wore down my brain. My brain couldn't think. I really, really intense healing. And I have walked through a very hard road of healing. And I believe that that was also God's will for me to do that, because I had to feel bad in order to help others. And I had to walk through certain things not working in terms of protocols, having to do things again, having to really work probably harder than the average person, because I needed to learn it and I needed to own it. And so healing a digestive system is one of my most favorite things to do. And it is not easy, and it can be really challenging sometimes, but it's because I walked through it myself. And in the last 2 years, I have changed so much of my lifestyle, and I have walked through almost 5 years of naturally healing my gut. Remember, I said it takes time, but my body did take longer than most people. And I can now say that I wake up in the morning with a gut that feels good. And it's amazing. I think of it every second of the day, because I used to think of how bad I felt every second of the day, and I praise God for how good I feel every second of the day. So the picture on the right was taken last week. It's my husband and I, and you can see within my physical body that I look different. Now, do I eat a lot differently than when I did on the left? Well, kind of. I was so sick I couldn't even stick to a healthy diet at that point. But I don't feel deprived now. I know what it takes to keep a gut healthy, and I will never go back to having an unhealthy gut. I have worked and learned, in the school of life, so to speak, of creating a healthy gut. And I feel like these two pictures just reflect so much, and you can see so much. You can see unhealthy in one, and you can see health in the other. And it breaks my heart when I hear people that have symptoms like me and have guts like me. But the good news is our bodies were created to heal. And the other good news is that I would love, love, love to work with you. And I would love to help you and teach you and really coach you through what I learned to heal my gut and to ultimately get my life back. I told my husband when we first started dating, we first got married, I was like, I cannot even work full time. Like I couldn't work full time. I didn't, just to get up out of bed and get ready and go to work was like this big stressor. And I was like, I can work, I can live. Like I have always loved my job. I love being a chiropractor. I love teaching, but I felt so bad I couldn't even do that. And now I feel like I really can share my calling and to share my passion with you and to be on this webinar because my brain can think now because my gut is healed. So I just wanted to once again let you know that I do health coaching. I do that one-on-one on my website, justenjoyfood.com. And I also have in the works some really, really amazing projects where I can just personally teach you some of the main things that help me. So please go to my website, contact me if you are interested, and we can talk more. I always touch base with people and see if I can help you. And you can ask me questions about what I do, and we can just do that more one-on-one. I always offer a free phone call. So contact me via my blog, or you can email me at askdrmegan@gmail.com. So that's askdrmeghan@gmail.com. So I put a funny picture of all these little bugs there. Think of them as your good bacteria in your microbiome. But I want you to imagine something for me. I want you to look back at your why you want to get healthy, why you came on this webinar, why you stuck around listening to me, why you're listening to the replay. And I want you, and it's going to sound kind of silly, I really want you to close your eyes. And I want you to think about your health. And I want you just to take a really good reality check. And I want you to think, if you didn't change anything that you're doing over the next 6 to 12 months, how would you feel? Just imagine. Now I want you to imagine something else, kind of like I'm snapping my fingers and we're taking you out of there and we're going to put you a year ahead. Let's say you do the gut healing things that I laid out. You stop that inflammation process. How do you feel? How do you do? Think of your life. Think of the fullness. I really want you to think on that. That life that you're thinking of, if your health changed, can be a reality. You can be that person that gets up in the morning and really says, today is the day the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Doesn't mean life is going to be perfect. Does not mean that every day is just, there's going to be no issues. But when you get your health back, you really, really get your life back. And I say that about myself, and I say that to you too, that is within your reach. I want to thank you so much for attending my Healthy Digestion 101 seminar. I hope that you learned a lot. I hope that your eyes were open to the epidemic that we are facing in terms of digestive disorders, and that there is an answer and that there is a solution. So please check anything resource-wise, recipe-wise on my blog. And I have an events page too that lists all of my upcoming events and webinars that I do. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate every one of you that are on here and that are listening. Bye.